Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome down here at the Red Bull Ring in Austria. Today we embark on qualifying where drivers will be setting their best lap times ready for the race tomorrow. Into round 6 of Kenco F1 and we are closing in down on the final few tracks of the season with just 2 races left and we still have no definite answer on who will be winning this championship. Taking a look at the track in Spielberg then, just 2.68 miles stretched across 3 DRS zones, running through the uphill climbs and the downhill descents, testing our drivers to their limits, especially in turn 1. Speaking of turns, there are 10 turns, 3 to the left, 7 to the right, with elevation changes all throughout this very bendy circuit. And tyre compounds this weekend run on the opposite side to Silverstone, with much softer tyre compounds, C5 for the soft, C4 mediums, and the C3 hard tyres. Let's get into qualifying. Hello. Welcome, guys. Hopefully you're all doing very well. I am joined here by nobody. There will be Callum in a minute, hopefully. But why is it showing Chapman as an alpha? We should be alright. How are you all doing, though? Good, very evening to everyone. We're here for Austrian qualifying. We should have somebody with me very soon. We've got, by the looks of it, I think 14 drivers, I think, out there today. So Q1 will be irrelevant, but this will obviously set, we're coming down to the final stages of the season now. So we've only got 3 races left. And then, yeah, we should be good. But yeah, hopefully you're all doing very well. I've kind of not really been here today, but I've almost caught up. Let me just check something. Hang on a minute. Okay, we're good. So yeah, again, Austria is like a really quick track. There's going to be like 36 laps of the race tomorrow because each lap's like a minute long. So it's a very short. Steam Dead, need invite, please. I can send you another invite by all means. There you go. Hopefully that's sent. Because you're in the lobby at the start, Max, you should be able to rejoin and then take control of your car. Fingers crossed, anyway. Fingers crossed. Let me just check. Okay, that's fine. Hopefully we should get Callum in the next minute or so. We should be alright. Let me just put that back up there. Hang on. I'm rearranging things. There we go. That's a little bit better. That's better. So yeah, obviously currently Joel is in the lead by like 30 points or so, I believe. And then we've got Max followed by, I believe, Dylan in 3rd place in the drivers' constructors. I'm not really too sure. But yeah, we'll have to sort of find out. Obviously, quali today is quite an important one for some of the leading drivers. We have unfortunately lost Josh in the other Red Bull. We lost both the Alpines as well. Because real life takes over after all. And yeah, I think a few computers have been taken away and stuff like that. But it makes sense. So there you go. We've got first times on the leaderboard there. Harper... oh no, hang on. I think people's numbers have not changed over or something. I'm not too sure. We've got 2 Chapmans. We've got 2 Hartleys. One of these is Hikes. One of these is... So we've got 1 Casper, 1 Hikes. I don't know which one's which, because I haven't changed any of the graphics. So we're going to have to work out what those are. Ryan Harper sets a 106.4 and then Zach puts it in for a P3. Hassan says, "Meow." Hassan, good to see you, mate. Welcome back. You follow me everywhere. I'm kidding. We have got Callum here, but he is on deafened at the moment, so I think he's just setting himself up. But we have got somebody else joining me as well, which is good. Koritz, hello, mate. Welcome to the stream. Good to see you, buddy. Hello. And I don't know if Callum is here, but he has just on deafened. Oh my god, the F1 cars are so loud.
Yeah, hello guys.
Hello. Thank you.
Strange to be back in the commentary box, but yeah, putting down the gloves, picking up a mic, much in the vein of Nico Rosberg, back out on here. Except I haven't won a world championship. I think that's one of the Williams back out on the track already going slow, so not a good start to session for them.
No, that's obviously Adam Forbes back there again. But yeah, Callum, it's good to have you back. I'm sure you'll enjoy going back to your commentating days almost a year ago now or something like that. But yeah, obviously Austria qualifying today. We've got 14 drivers. Some of the leaderboard is unfortunately broken. I believe Hartley is potentially Hikes, and then we've also got the other AlphaTauri of Casper, but the Alfa Romeo, sorry. But I don't know. We'll work it out as the session goes on. But yeah, quite a few of the drivers out of the pits at the moment. And yeah, only 1 Red Bull.
I'm not too sure about which Alfa Romeo is which. I'm pretty sure from my limited experience, there's probably Casper topping the time cheats. He is.
Yeah, that is
let's
true.
just say rapid. He's very quick. Last week, going all the way from the back of that grid up into the podium position. I mean, it's difficult. I can tell you firsthand now, it's difficult to get a podium here in Kenco F1. I of course, have been involved in many a controversy to do with getting my teammate a podium, but you know he's got much more skill than I, and you know it's all about the team game here in Kenco F1. Speaking of, there is Joel going down the back straight. Subbed in for Charlie this weekend. Obviously, I'm not going to be here tomorrow, but what a brilliant drive Charlie is, and if you remember back to last season,
Sorry, hang on.
remember back to last season, Charlie did get his maiden win here at Austria in those mixed conditions from Max Chapman on that final lap. So, so we'll have to keep our eyes on Charlie and that Ferrari outfit.
Yes, certainly. So obviously, you know, Charlie will do his bits for you today, for this weekend, I suppose, as much as he can. Obviously closing in on the end of the session. I hope we get into the 103s today. I don't know, but currently Charlie, I mean, he's on an in lap here by the looks of it. He's not actually on a hot lap, unless he's doing 2 back-to-back. But yeah, currently P2 there for Charlie, as there's an Alpine here as well who doesn't have a number. Oh God, that would be Speedy Joe. We need to sort this leaderboard out, don't we?
Absolutely. Just to highlight what you said before, I mean, I think at this stage it's getting to a point where whatever lap time you think we're going to get, subtract 3 seconds. That's what Max will be at the end of the session. So we're looking at more like 1.1s, 1.2s.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, I don't think we'll break through the minute mark round here. But obviously, you know, Q1 doesn't really mean anything to the drivers. There's 36 laps in the Grand Prix tomorrow night. So all these drivers are trying to get as much practice as they can. Obviously, most of the drivers going out on the mediums here. And yeah, track limits as well, Callum. They are very, very tight around Austria. You know, lots of invalid lap times I think we'll see today.
Yeah, I mean, due to the nature of this track, I mean, it's very tight, it's very fast, and you know, that white line is there for a reason. Obviously, no race director this weekend, so we have to make do and go with the strictest. It's better to be more strict than it is to be more lenient, I think.
Yes, exactly.
Less arguments happen that way, less sort of controversies. But yeah, just a backtrack to what you said. I'm not too sure about 1 minute flats.
No.
Maybe if Archie was in the session with his 112 around Silverstone last week, but he is not today. So maybe in the race.
Yes, maybe so. We have got confirmation as well that Casper is that Alfa Romeo Hartley there, so we'll get his name changed for the race tomorrow. We'll make sure we'll get all the drivers' numbers and everything sorted for that. But yeah, currently as it stands, in Q1 we've got Casper with 104.4, very closely followed by Charlie 104.5 by the looks of it, as Max Chapman goes and sets a 104.8, quite respectable there. Bear in mind all these lap times are currently on mediums, just because the drivers will be trying to go on those soft tyres for Q2 and Q3 here. But yeah, it looks like there's a driver that's left the session there as well. I'm not sure who that is.
In terms of the constructors, unfortunately, Josh has left Red Bull, so that puts Ferrari very much in the driving seat. I mean, of course, they'll find someone, and of course, they might be quick. But, you know, as long as Ferrari keep on the double points every week, I mean, the gap is 30, 40 points or something like that, and that's... Well, if Max is out of a session, that's a race for us to win, and, you know, we've got that back. So, Ferrari are well and truly in the drive of this championship. Unfortunately, as Max Chapman gets a spin there through Sector 2 into Sector 3, this could be the first signs of some possible tyre degradation through that middle sector on those medium tyres. Something to watch out for the race tomorrow. Remember, they do only get a certain amount of sets to use. This will be one of the sets. So, this wear will be carrying over into tomorrow if he doesn't actually nurse those tyres back to the pits.
Yes, exactly that. And yeah, again, these tyres will be used again for the race. Max won't be happy with that. He's obviously, you can see the dirt coming off the tyres there. He's going to ease himself back into the pits to change tyre compound. But I mean, he's got a lap time on the leaderboard. That's enough to get him into Q2 anyway, with the amount of drivers we've got in the session today. But yeah, I mean, it looks like pretty much every driver here has already set a time by the looks of things. Which is good. And predictions for top 5, Callum. I mean, I know you might be a little bit Ferrari biased here. When it comes down to Q3, who do you reckon will be on the front row?
I think you might have to. You might have to ask me in Q2 that once again. Also, we see the representative pace of the drivers, but Dylan's looked pretty quick. I mean, he's not obviously not one of the better qualifiers, but he's managed to pull it back in the race. Maybe today he goes for a more qualifying focus, qualifying like focused setup. I mean, obviously that is a big part of qualifying, whether you're going to do a race setup or a qualifying setup. I think we saw that with the Alpines a lot this year. They P1, P2 on the grid and then couldn't convert in the race because their setup was so jittery. I mean, obviously from driving myself, I know how important it is. I'm qualifying P5, P6, but you can see on the race starts and throughout the race, I've got the pace to carry up into those podium positions. I mean, look at last week. I was on soft, 16-lap-old softs, fighting with Andre, who was on 16-lap-old mediums, and I was keeping him behind for most of that time. So I think going on a race up is so much more beneficial than getting that track position, especially at Austria, where you're just going to get stuck in a DRS train.
Yes, exactly, and obviously Parc Fermé will be enabled now for the drivers, so whatever setup they do use today will be have to be the one they use for race. So do they go for a quality setup like you say and get P1 here, but then in the race not do so well, or do they go for sort of a more balanced sort of setup, I suppose is the word, which obviously, like you say, benefited you hugely at Silverstone with the Alpine of Andre. But yeah, Dylan Hartley there, I think, going a little bit quicker. We're seeing Casper again go even quicker than Charlie there by another 2 tenths. So, these drivers getting a bit of that track evolution in, and very, very closely, even on these mediums, are at very low 104s. So, yeah, good to see.
I wouldn't be looking into any of the times here. 104 is definitely not the times we'll be getting in qualifying 3. Obviously, track evolution, soft tyres, less fuel. I know right now if I was one of the cars, I'd be running 50 laps of fuel. So, it's just all about that race simulation. That's why Dylan's gone for back-to-back laps, setting green sectors in one, coming into sector 2.
I will keep
there's 2 green sectors for Dylan. Last sector was slower in 3.
That was in the previous lap, I believe.
Yeah. Last sector was slower in 3. We've got a car getting out the way there. Just in terms of this sector delta, if a driver's going to be on a race setup, you're going to expect them to have more rear end stability, more sort of differential to get those tires into an operating range. We don't want oversteer on the exit of the corner as a driver. That's the worst thing you can get, right? Oversteer on an exit of the corner, warms up your tires, especially through this section that Max is in right now. If you warm up your tires, you can't cool them. You've got another 3 fast corners to go and then a massive straight, right? So that straight's obviously going to cool your brakes, cool your tires, but you don't want them to get into a window where you just keep inevitably heating them and cooling them and heating them and cooling them. And that just absolutely ruins the tyre wear on these tyres as Max starts his flying lap.
Yes, and obviously we are on the softer tyre compounds, and if I'm correct in saying so, the softer tyres do get hotter quicker. I don't know if that's true.
That is correct. That is correct.
Yes,
and
obviously
get hotter quicker, get into the optimum range, and but obviously as a result of that, they do degrade quite fast.
Yes, exactly. But Max, I don't know if you only get 1 set of mediums, don't you? Actually, for
qualifying, yeah.
Qualifying. So Max, these are the same tyre set that he did spin out in earlier. You can only see he's 2 tenths down there. It's sector 1. Personal best though, but 2 tenths down obviously from Casper's time. It'll be interesting as well, obviously, to see where Max, where Joel, where Charlie sort of position themselves around Casper. Obviously, Casper being a new driver for the last weekend, he went from P19 up to P3 at Silverstone, which was amazing performance by him. But yeah, I mean, some of these drivers, they're going to be scared of him. They're going to be worried.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at it empirically, I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised if there's another new pollster here in Kenco F1 today. The pressure is going to be the main thing for Casper. We've seen he's got the pace in the race. We have not seen it in qualifying yet. So whether he can get that lap uninvalidated and clean lap that is quick, able to challenge Max, I think that's one of Max's biggest strengths. If I go on off a tangent really quickly, one of Max's biggest strengths is he knows where the limit is the car is. He pushes
and the
it,
track limits
but he never exceeds it, right? So that means he always stays within the white lines, never risks an invalidation. Whereas people like Joel, who don't have that raw pace but are more trained, more acute with their steering, know how they handle their own car, they have to push the car. They don't have as much pace naturally as Max does. So you could see Joel and Charlie take more risks than Max has to in a session. So that's where you're going to get the play. That's where it's going to come into play in qualifying 3. The last couple laps, a yellow flag, right? And that ruined you. I think personally,
exactly.
round here in a track like this, you're gonna want the track evolution. But similarly, one yellow flag, and you're taking your first lap of the race. So it's really a tricky one for these teams to decide.
Yeah, and obviously Austria being such a short track as well, one little mistake and you won't even be able to gain the time back, if I'm honest. So it's got to be basically perfect the entire way round. And obviously Austria as well, it's loads of ups, loads of downs. It's not a flat track by any means. You know, you've got hill climbs, you've got downhill bits and uphill bits, and it's all literally everywhere. So yeah, it's a difficult track, but it's obviously a short one.
Yeah, that's 100%. That's 100% an aspect of it. I mean,
yeah,
I know you've driven in F1 2021. You can brake so much later into turn 3 just because of that uphill gradient. I mean, that is absolutely going to benefit everybody who's running ABS off. You can brake so much later, sweep the car in, and get such a better exit just because of that uphill gradient. But you got to be careful. If you're on no traction, that exit can be very difficult.
exactly, and it looks like the audience is loving you back, Callum, which is amazing to see. Just proves how much they've missed you over the past season or so. But you know, it's good to have you in a car as well. Obviously, you know, we've both been there. We've both been in racing and stuff like this. But it's not easy out there. It's definitely not easy. There's lots of pressure on your shoulders when you're on a hot lap, and yeah, you've got to kind of be 100% concentrating, focus down, and sort of get your head into it, I suppose. But yeah, it looks like there's a minute and 50 seconds left of the qualifying session. We've only got Alex Peak out here at the moment on track. He's currently on a hot lap. Green sector 1, green sector 2. But we'll sort of see if he can improve. He's currently down in P13. Alex Peak done really well in Silverstone, getting himself P2, I believe, for the start. But he had an unfortunate sprint race, setting him back a little bit as he goes and sets a P4 there of a 104.6.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, Alex. He underperformed at the start of the season, obviously. Doesn't really have a consistent teammate that he can have behind him, but you know, he really shocked me. I don't know if
Yes.
that's offensive to say, but he really shocked me in Britain. He had the pace. He probably could have got pole if he'd got the perfect lap. I mean, obviously Max went out there and smashed it by 7/10 or something like that. It was ridiculous, but you know, Alex is one of those where I don't really know whether he can put the pace in every single lap, or whether it has to be right. It has to hook up just perfect. I mean, that is most of racing. You've got to get some luck on your side, of course.
Yes, exactly. And obviously, yeah, we do see that from some drivers. You know, some drivers, you know, they adapt, they mold around certain tracks, they prefer them. Just, I guess.
Cars as well.
And cars, I mean, yes.
Obviously, we are on equal performance, but I can tell you the Red Bull is completely different to drive than my Ferrari. And likewise with the Aston Martin, the wheelbases does make a difference in those corners. Obviously, the engine performance down the straight is you know, is all the same because we're on equal power. But as Charlie, I think, would have invalidated there on the hot lap going that wide.
I don't think it would have counted anyway because of 0 seconds.
Flag, I don't know. Then managed to make it to the flag.
I'm not sure. Did that count? I don't know if it did. Or was this AI taking over?
I think he's still going. He would have a checkered flag next to his name.
Oh.
I don't know how, but you know, 1/10 down for Charlie. Those sure. Mediums getting worn. But regardless, yeah, I think drivers have to get into their groove, and that's all what this qualifying one session's about. You know, they had a practice on their own. Obviously, in Kenco F1, we don't have practice sessions. The drivers take upon their own chance to practice the tracks. Obviously, that gives some who have a lot more time much more benefit. They can try different setups rather than the usual 2.5 hours that they get in actual F1. But this qualifying one session, this is all about testing the setups that you got and proving that it's effective.
100%, and we don't know if obviously Charlie's struggling a little bit here with used mediums, but he's 2 temps down. It looks like he's just hit the 50 board there coming into the pits.
It was stuck on his inside cake tin of his left tire there. It better not be ruining my Ferrari.
Yeah, he's got to treat this very well for next week in Hungary, and then Brazil in 2 weeks' time. But yeah, I mean, there you go. That's the end of Q1 there. We'll be going shortly, very quickly into Q2, where it matters because 3 of these drivers will be, I want to say disqualified, but that's the wrong word. Eliminated.
Eliminated
is the correct terminology. But yeah, there you go. Nice work there from both the Williams, Zach in his Aston Martin. And yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, some of these drivers wouldn't even have gone full pace there, to be honest with you. They would have just gone round and set a lap time. But yeah, nice spread as the board as well. Obviously, P1 down to P8, not even a second in it. So it's going to be some obviously very fine margins today because it's such a short track, which I like that. You know, it adds to the fun and the adrenaline, which is awesome.
Quite a sparse track here today with only 13 drivers on the grid. Just a quick one, what Bob said. Thoughts on Zach? You know, I don't think he's shown his full potential just yet. Qualifying 2, qualifying 3, I think that's where we'll get to see
Yep.
what he's going to do. You see, he's 4 tenths off of P8. I think everyone below Zach is sandbagging somewhat. You know, I know Alex is pretty
Joel.
quick. Joel is
Yep.
Joel is up there with Casper and with Max, so it'll be interesting to see what sort of lap times do come in this session. I mean, you know, I think you said that Max used the same tires that he spun on, but I think he could still go out and set pole with those tires. You know, that's how
I don't
that's
know.
how that's how talented Max is. You know, as a driver, and especially when you're racing against him, you've got to put everything into your defense. You can't let him pass because you know the moment he's passed, he's going to be half a second up the road, and you're not going to be able to get past. I mean, with most drivers, I find, you know, sorry to go off on a tangent again.
That's
but
all right.
most drivers, I find, if they pass you, you have at least 2 laps to try and get back within their DRS, right? To get back in front of them. With Max, you have 1 corner, so it's one of those cases where it's worth risking your whole race just to stay in front of it, especially with me and the drivers' championship at stake. But it's worth risking your whole race just to stay in front of Max, just because of how quick he is. You know, obviously nothing dangerous, nothing
But you can't
erratic,
let him to
but
go off.
you can't afford afford
Exactly.
to let him to go, because if you let him go, then you're not getting that place back.
No, unless there's a safety car or something sort of malfunctions, I suppose. But
Or he speeds in the pit lane like last week.
or yes, or that with a time penalty. But yeah, interesting. We are seeing both Alfa Romeos out in the pits first. Normally we see the Williams. They are out on the track, but they're not the first ones to leave the pit wall today. But yeah, we will see. Obviously, we'll see the first lap time. But I think Gomez is crossing the line first, but we'll go on board with Casper here to sort of see. You know, he's going to be going a little bit out more. They're on the soft tyres as well now. So I don't know if you want to talk us through this, Callum, or
yeah,
I mean,
I think the most important thing to watch whilst we're on board with Casper here is those track limits. I mean, just a comment. What a beautiful helmet. That's a really lovely design there. Obviously sporting the blue and yellow for Ukraine there, but very, very good solidarity there from the Estonian driver there. Through turn 3, a little bit wide, missed the apex. Obviously, that corner is uphill off camber. If you hit the apex, sometimes it can unsettle the car. Braking at 75, swooping in one sweep of the steering wheel onto that exit curb. Did not use the exit curb there, surprisingly. So maybe even saving the tyres a little bit for a second run. Here, turning in about 30 meters, trying to hook it round, lift a little bit. Here's just a lift and a downshift, no brake. Fastest sector 1 for Casper there, but the sector 2 isn't quite good enough to set a personal best, which, like I said, suggests he was lifting a little bit. On here, it's literally just a lift and a turn, and down here, braking about 50 meters into the corner, using that exit curb and that DRS to the line. I don't think it's going to be the quickest lap for Casper, but it is a 1:04.3.
Yes, not too shabby there. I think there was a few times where obviously he went a little bit wide of the apex and things like that. So definitely a few things to tidy up on. As we're seeing Taylor Hume there go 5 tenths slower than Casper, setting in P2 with a Zach 105.5. But yeah, interesting obviously, like you say, getting, you know, with Casper and sort of how he takes the track. I mean, most of these drivers are going to be sort of aiming to go very similarly around the track, but, you know, there's some that, I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but basically the more practice you get, I suppose, and like you say, natural talent with Max and things like that, obviously it all comes down into the factor of what times they get, as we're seeing Charlie there set at 104.3 Seki. You know, a nice time there, I think, by Casper, actually. A nice sort of starting point for all the drivers.
Yeah, no, it is good comparatively to the rest of the field, but I think for Casper, he'll be wanting to go quite a significant amount quicker. I think just from being on board, there's 5 or 6 tenths he can still find in that. Especially, you know, the track evolution is going to happen, and it's inevitable that that's going to happen. Taylor Hume looks like he's coming into the pit lane, crossing that white line. I don't know if the FIA will be looking at that, but just a quick point on like you said, the use of the track. You've got to do something different if you're not naturally pacey, right? So, for instance, Max is obviously going to always set the benchmark, but for people like Joel, who is just off, like, they have an opportunity where they can take risks, they can do something different and attempt that in order to be one up on Max. So you've seen that in the last couple of weeks. Joel's come in under a safety car and stayed in. Obviously, very big risk going 30 laps on mediums in a 50% race, but it's something you have to do when you're fighting against the very best. If you do the same thing as Max, you're only going to be as good as him. So you know, you've got to find other ways to be better than your competitors. Max out on those mediums again. I didn't realize that. Setting sorry, that was just his out lap, so he didn't set any time there, but about 5 laps on those mediums and a spin, so they'll be quite one.
Yeah, interesting choice there by Max Chapman. I don't know if he's trying to prove a point or if he just wants as many soft runs as he can for Q3 here. But yeah, he's the only one on the mediums. It looks like we've got Ryan Harper as well out on the mediums in his Aston Martin, just coming through down into Sector 3 here. We'll see what kind of time he does set if he is on a hot lap. It looks like he might be starting a hot lap here though, as it looks like his driver just pulled over.
So yeah, the green Bulls, oh sorry, I mean Aston Martin of Harper now coming into turn 1. I mean, Ryan's still on those medium tyres despite his abundant lack of pace thus far.
Yeah.
You know, I think, again, like you said, conserving those soft tyres. I'm actually really surprised about how many drivers are out on track. Obviously, in Q1, we saw everybody on the medium, so that makes sense. But everybody out on the softs this early, Max going up to 4th with those worn tyres, that just proves that 104 is not a time we're going to want at the end of this. I think we could be looking at 102s, certainly. But as I was saying, I'm surprised about how many people are out here. You know, you want to conserve those tyres, especially for the race. You don't want to be using a worn set throughout the race if there's a late safety car, especially on a track like this, where softs are going to be so much quicker than the mediums.
Yeah, I mean, Max 5 tenths behind really used mediums there, P4. And you're telling me you can't do a 103 point something on the softs. We've got something.
102s, Ian. Ian, mate, 102s.
I don't know.
2 seconds off of the lap. Right, think about it. He's probably on about 10 laps of fuel. Medium tyres, that's about 7 tenths. 10 laps of fuel, that's about 3 tenths. That's a second. Max is not going to be really pushing in this session. That's probably going to be another 7 tenths. Gets a bit lucky maybe with the track evolution, and yeah, that'll be 2 seconds off of his lap, just like that.
Yeah, it's insane. Obviously, again, I suppose things come into it as well. If you've got drivers in front of you on their hot laps as well, obviously, he hasn't got a teammate anymore. So, you know, like you say, you and the Ferrari of Joel and, you know, in the coming races, you've always got that, you know, following each other, I suppose, for the extra pace advantage. But Max can't do that anymore without a teammate. So he's, you know, he's lost that aspect of it, unfortunately. But we are seeing both the AlphaTauris here out on track of both Smits and Peak. 4 drivers not to set a time at the moment, so we don't really have any drivers eliminated or in the relegation zone, I suppose. But we've just seen Smits, I believe he set a time here. But yeah, so it's Gomez, Adam Forbes, Alex Peak, and Joe, all without times there at the moment. Joe's still in the pits as well.
Interesting strategies here from these AlphaTauri drivers. I mean, looks like they're trying to tow each other along through Sector 2. That's not something you're going to want. No. I can understand on a track with a long straight, but the straight down here is only about a kilometre along that start-finish line. So, you know, that dirty air in that middle sector, you're going to be throwing yourself off, and it could be beneficial down towards turn 1, sorry, down towards turn 1 and then up towards turn 3. But, you know, through that middle sector, it'd be better for them to push in front, I think. Like, oh, maybe that is what they're doing. Maybe they'll be pushing in Sector 1, pushing all the way up to the Sector 2 boundary, and then pulling away, giving them a tow down the straight, down the second straight, and then down the third. There we go. Look at that. That is absolutely amazing teammanship there from Alex Peak. But it perplexes me why they're trying to do this with 6 minutes left on worn soft tires. You know, Alex Peak's got to think about his own race. There's only 3 people getting eliminated here, and there are 5 people behind him. So, you know, he's got to think about this for his own race.
Exactly. We're seeing Max Chapman here leaving the pit on the soft tyre here with 6 minutes left, as that Smits just taking a little bit of a spin there. Unfortunately, straight onto the grass. He did hit the rear of his car there on the wall.
Yeah, I mean, I know the physics in this game are slightly broken. You can repair your rear wing in the pits under Parc Fermé, which should not be allowed, but, you know, all is fair in Formula 1 2021, as they say in the good old fable. He'll be coming to the pits. But similarly, so is Alex Peak. You know, he's done that lap to give his teammate that edge, but clearly it hasn't paid off, and that's just going to impact both the AlphaTauri drivers. Yeah, they're going to have to come out again 100% on some fresh softs. Nice lap time as well by Adam Forbes here. 104.5 going just in front of Max Chapman there, and just behind Charlie. So he's just pulled over, I think, and stopped on the track. I don't know if he's waiting for someone to come by here. I think he was just waiting for the Alfa Romeo there. No, Adam is going significantly slowly, going across the grass, just in very much the same vein and the same place as as Valtteri Bottas, as he said, just cutting some grass. And you know, again into the gravel. Maybe some problems here for the Williams driver.
Potentially.
Obviously, we've seen in real life rear brake failures. Maybe that's what's going on. Maybe they don't have any brakes on one side of the car, can't quite turn into those corners. But
might be
I
some
mean,
damage.
just a word on Adam. I mean, I think out of anyone in Kenco F1 over the history of the 3 seasons we've done, or 2.5 season, Adam this year has made the biggest step up from anyone 100%. I've seen.
We didn't see it just then, but yes.
In season 1, obviously, he was fighting to get into Q2, and this year, P4 on the grid. I mean,
it's insane.
It's ridiculous. There's people that have improved. Dylan's come a long way. So has Joel. You know, Joel was always up there. I think he's got a podium streak since Japan in the first season, which I think is pretty ridiculous. That's 2.5 seasons of, you know, podiums every race. Excuse me, but out of anyone, Adam, you know, through mentorship of people like Charlie, Josh, all of these really solid drivers, and obviously practice is a big part of it as well. He's been able to get the most out of his car and his talent. So yeah, really proud of Adam.
Yeah, 100%. I think his teammate as well, that they like to get in calls and sort of practice together and things like that on time trial. So really good, obviously, sportsmanship and teamwork from both of the Williams drivers. We're seeing Casper there, currently fastest with 103.8, and Joe there in P2 in his Alpine. Fresh, obviously, debut qualifying, I think, there for Joe. Very close lap times, 103.8, 103.9. As it looks like Dylan Hartley there has just gone to set a lovely P5. But with, yeah, Gomez still yet to set a time. I'm not sure. Oh, no, is that Gomez? So, no, my apologies, not Gomez. Sorry, Hikes. I think he's having a few issues with his pedals, so I don't think he'll be leaving the pit lane anytime soon. So that's potentially Hikes already out of this session.
Yeah, unfortunate there. Maybe somebody they'll have to look at with the other Alfa Romeo who's at the front of the grid. But, you know, Alfa Romeo have had a very good streak of drivers. You know, season 1, Casper Meech and Max Chapman. Obviously, last year they took a little bit of a hit with Reggie J. Hargreaves not being able to perform every single week. But, you know, this year they've got 2 really strong drivers in Hikes and Casper. So they've got a really good program, I think. It's an entirely different kind of racing altogether. Yes, Benson, that is very funny. But, you know, I was just going to point out the Alpine, definitely not a misnomer. Speedy Joe, definitely very speedy up in P2. So, yeah, it's an entirely different kind of racing.
Exactly. We haven't got any squiggly racing either today at the moment. It looks like Joel Foxall's leaving. He's obviously not happy with his lap time. He wants to go one quicker there. I don't know, is that fresh softs potentially?
Nah, they look worn. They look worn there from Joel. I mean, I would say a little bit of graining there on the wheels, but, you know, Joe even so confident that he's left the session. Yeah, Joel, you know, he's got nothing to worry about, nor is Charlie. I don't know, like I said, last year, think back to 1 year ago as, go ahead. Oh, yes, there's a, hang on a minute. Hikes pulled over at the side of the track.
He's got a broken front wing as well.
He had no wheel, but he was in, he was right next to a marshalling post. I'm wondering if, because that's halfway down the straight. That's an interesting place to lose the car. So I'd be interested to know what Hikes, what actually happened to Hikes. I
don't know if there's any other drivers going. I think
I'll go find out.
Okay, no worries. That would be fantastic. But yeah, 1 minute 44 seconds left of Q2 here. We've got a few other drivers out on the fresh softs. Dylan Hartley there going to set a P4. Splitting the 2 Ferraris, but as it stands, currently Smits and Ryan Harper will be out of the session, unfortunately, unless they can go quicker. They're both out on the track. The only 2 drivers still in the pit lane is Casper and Joe there, both with respectable times. There's Alex Peak there, that sets a very respectable P4, and he's hoping that his teammate can clutch and get through as well. We're looking at Max Chapman here, currently green sector 1, green sector 2, only a 10th behind Casper here, but currently, if he can nail sector 3, he could put this on P1 or P2, but it's looking more like a P3, P4 potentially here. I mean, rivals, he's wanting to get in front of Joel, and that's exactly what he's gone ahead and done. 104.020 there for Max Chapman. That's pushing Charlie all the way down to P7. He's not going to be happy with that. Adam Forbes and then Taylor Hume is currently in the relegation zone as well, with Zach Plant there in his Aston Martin in P9. But yeah, 44 seconds left of this session. Only a certain few drivers can obviously cross the line to set a new hot lap now. As we're coming to the final few stages of Q2.
Yeah, it looks like everybody's on hot lap, so they can't tell me what's going on. I go in 1 second, wait 20 seconds. So
no problem.
But from what I have heard, it looked like Hikes had a actual mechanical malfunction. It seemed as though he lost the drive out of his wheel. So
Oh, hang on.
maybe power
I'll
steering
do it in a
issue.
sec. Yep.
Maybe it's a power steering issue, or maybe lost the drive shaft. So
Oh, there's a Aston Martin there as well that's pulled over to the side of the track. I don't know if that is Ryan Harper.
This is exactly what we said earlier. This is going to affect people's hot laps.
Yes.
On such a short track like this, you do have time to go for 2 consecutive laps. Sorry, you do have time to go for get round if you do lose your lap time either due to an invalidation or due to a yellow flag. But because of the nature of the circuit, because of the fast-paced corners in Sector 2, and because of how short it is, it's so hard to recharge that ERS. There's no way a driver could do 2 back-to-back. So it'd be interesting to see what sort of times people set under that yellow flag. They will be investigated 100% in the 2021 ruling from the FIA. Obviously, everybody who goes through a yellow flag automatically gets that lap time deleted, never disregarding whether they lifted or not. So, as long as the driver's been through that yellow flag, they can't set that lap time.
And yeah, I think that concludes Q2 there, as Joel Gooden sets another fastest lap there in front of Casper, showing his dominance in this, I think.
Yeah, I mean, there's track evolution there, one tenth of track evolution. Joel also, I think, got into conflict with those yellows, so that probably wouldn't stand as a valid lap time. Max only 2/10 off the pace, which is interesting from the Red Bull driver. But I wouldn't be surprised if we lost another 6/10 off that lap. And like I said, probably in the high 102s there from Max, I would be expecting.
Yes, it's Q3. It's all to play for. Unfortunately, we do lose the Alpha there of Smith. So, he had potential to go quicker. But obviously that yellow flag did slow him down considerably. But that concludes our Q2 session there with Smits and Ryan Harper, unfortunately. Oh, and Hikes, obviously getting out of Q2 there. And then, yeah, Q3 is where it's all to play for the starting grid tomorrow. Joe, hopefully you can re-invite yourself there. I've just sent you another invite. But yeah, as it stands, Joe Foxall currently 103.7 there. I'm very sure these drivers are going to go quicker than that in Q3 with track evolution. But yeah, we'll have to wait and find out. But yeah, massive thank you as well to everyone who has tuned in as well. I appreciate it very much. Yeah, obviously if you do want to tune into the race tomorrow, it'll be streamed on my main channel. 7:30 in the evening, and yeah, it should be a good race. But it looks like it is going to be panning out to be a very good race as well. So I'm looking forward to it already. But we don't even know what the grid's going to be yet. So this is where we all find out.
Whilst I'm here, take the opportunity, ask some questions, queries, anything you want to ask. Obviously I'm driving in this league this year, so anything you want to ask on behalf. Sorry, if anything you want to ask to a driver, I'll try and answer on behalf of everybody, not just myself. But if you do have any questions, do shoot them my way.
Yes, 100%. Hang on. Sorry, no, I was just reading. Oh, race should be better with me tomorrow. Nice. Yeah, obviously we do have some drivers. Evolutionary gate. Oh, is that? Did you see that Williams?
No, what happened?
It just like they all glitched. Yeah, you see what I mean?
Oh yeah.
They're all kind of going crazy. Yeah, we should have a few more drivers anyway.
This new pit lane technology. I think last year someone drove into the pit lane at Austria, so
Oh.
Someone drove into the pit.
Do you remember
wall,
who that was?
It was one of the Red Bulls.
Ah, wasn't me.
Which would have been. Who was a Red Bull in season 1?
Gosh, Jay Robbins?
Who was a
I'm
Red
pretty
Bull?
sure it was Jay and Kevin, no?
No, Jay was AlphaTauri in season 1. Jay was AlphaTauri in season 1.
There's so many seasons.
Yeah, that was last season when Jay was with Jay and Kevin. Can anybody remember who was Red Bull? It was Casper Knopp.
Oh yes.
Casper Knopp.
It was. Was it? It wasn't Meech.
No, it wasn't Meech.
No.
It was. Alex Anderson. What was his name?
Alex Hughes?
No. Alex Anderson was his name. What's his name? He was like friends with Rafal and everyone.
I'm not sure.
Alex Anderson? Alex A?
Oh, yes.
Oh, it's Rinser.
Yes.
This is Rinser.
That's just clicked.
Rinser and Knopp. There we go. I think it might have been Knopp that just drove straight out into the pit wall. So
Love to see it. We might see that again today, hopefully. It looks like Adam Forbes is the first one to set a timed lap. No, that's incorrect. There's definitely a few drivers in front
no,
of Adam.
no. I mean, maybe he's just gone quickest. I don't know. Maybe he's pushing more than others. You know, never underestimate the strength of that Williams car.
No,
That's all I'm gonna say.
those brakes look very, very hot as well.
Wow, that Mercedes engine last week set a 112, so you know, do anything.
So, yeah. I'm still yet to find out how that actually happened, but
something I'm really impressed with. All of these drivers have really cool helmets. I mean,
I know.
I've seen when I commentated, it was one or two that was, you know, each week they'd switch it up. But wow, that looks really cool. Really happy for the helmet.
Yes,
I think
obviously.
Adam probably is the first to set a lap time, by the way, as he's just gone purple.
Certainly so. He's absolutely putting that car to its limits there. We haven't actually got... there was obviously an invalid lap time there, 106.2, so he did invalidate that as... looks like we've got Alex Peak there, first lap time, first time there, 104.3. We've got Max Chapman also on his hot lap, about to cross the line here and set a... no, it's not even a timed lap there.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. That was a 103 then from Max. I mean,
105.3.
Sorry, it was a 105.3 there from Max. He really wasn't putting anything into that. Charlie almost already into the 103s, so, you know, not going to take much more to get down into those 103s. Like I said, if Max Chapman can pull it out of the bag, maybe we can see 102s, you know. Anything is possible when you put the words Max and Chapman together. You know, he's not the incumbent champion, remember, this year. Like, because of the way that last league ended, Joel actually ended up as the World Drivers' Champion. So it's everything on Joel's shoulders in these last couple of races. Everything for him to lose, nothing for Max to lose, you know? Max, whilst he's not in the lead of the World Drivers' Championship, very much can be in it in the space of one race. So, you know, I think the pressure will be getting to Joel at this point. Especially, you know, from, you know, personal experience.
Exactly. You obviously know Joel a damn sight more than I do, so you know how he comes into these races and out of them. We're currently on board here with Casper. Currently purple sector 1, sector 2. Currently 2 temps up on Charlie's time, so we'll see if he can get into the 103.8, potentially 103, even quicker than that maybe. But we'll have a little look as he comes around here, keeping it within track limits across the line, and he goes and sets a 103.8. There you go. A little bit slower there, sector 3 as well.
That's 8 tenths only to gain on one lap. That's very much doable, especially with the track evolution, the new tyres. I would not be surprised to see 102s. Dylan not setting such a good lap time there, 104. Not really representative of that Mercedes car. As we go even faster with Joe, very speedy indeedy. 103.7. Speedy indeedy. There we go.
Yes. It doesn't even look like... I mean, I don't know if this is Max's true potential here, but green.
Yeah, I mean, personal best for Max. You know, this isn't not going to be a representative time of where he could go. I think he's pushed track limits a little bit there. Maybe he's just trying to get around it. I mean, I anticipate him to go into the pits if he did breach those track limits. You know, don't want to spend any time out on track that you could be spending in the garage getting new tires on. So, yeah, you know, it's interesting. Different sort of lineup here in the early stages of Q3. I did say we could have a possible new pole sitter in Kenco 1, and I didn't think it'd be Joe, but maybe it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's just this is the thing. We've hired 2 drivers in a matter of 2 weeks here, and they both seem to be very, very competitive drivers. I know that Joe is part of other leagues as well, so he's obviously had a lot of experience here. But yeah, 103.7 there for Joe, and then Casper in P2 there, slightly behind by half a tenth of a second.
Well, you better stop hiring quick drivers, because otherwise you might get points.
Oh, there's a Ferrari there. I don't know if that is...
Yeah, I think that might have been Joel actually. I think Charlie's in the pits, so I think that might have been Joel that had a little spin. You see, remember what I was saying about those risks? You've got to take risks to get those lap times. Maybe he just wanted to warm up the tyres a bit. Who knows? But you know, Joel and his antics coming out on intermediates in dry weather and stuff. You know, he always likes to have a little bit of fun as well as push the limits. As Charlie comes into the pit, so I'm not too sure whether it was Charlie or Joel. Joel seems to be in the pit lane already, so maybe it was Charlie that was pushing it.
Potentially so. But yeah, we just got Alex Peak out on track at the moment. And yeah, look at that. 9 tenths splits from P1 down to P10. That's insane.
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of... it's quite a lot, but when you think about it, in the grand scheme of things, 9-10 splitting 10 drivers is much better, much more positive than we've had in the last couple of years. Obviously, it'd normally be a couple tenths at the front. Obviously, the front 5 separated by half a second, so interesting sort of things. We're already down into the half 103s, so
Yeah.
you know, I would anticipate another 2/10 off each lap time with track evolution. So we're looking at 103.5s, and like I said, if Max can pull it out, 102s.
I still don't believe it, but you're saying
You're-
7 more attempts on that.
Are
you sure?
There's not much. The thing is, right, on a track like this, there's not much place. There's not many places to gain your time. But
No.
you know, but because of the nature of it, if you get it right, there's not many places to lose your time. So,
Yeah.
the middle sector is really sort of standard. You can't really improve on that unless, you know, unless your setup like allows you to do that with your differential or your brake bias. I think it's more going to be the final couple turns because you've got to push it all the way to the limit without invalidating. That's where Max is going to gain his time.
Yes, 100%. We're obviously seeing 4 minutes left here of Q3. Most of the drivers here coming out the pits. We're going to probably see the other 3 drivers of Zach, Joel, and Joe coming out the pits very, very shortly. But it looks like we have got Casper here going to set his potentially second to last lap time. He's given it enough time for a few hot laps here, which is good. But we'll see if he can obviously take over from Joe.
Yeah, if we go on board with him here down the back straight, a beautiful toe here from whoever's come out the pits. That's an absolute godsend. Going
Guys
onto the
on the
grass there to
grass.
get out of the way. Not too sure what that's about. A half a tenth off already.
That
Hitting
helps.
that apex, unlike before. Remember I said he didn't hit that apex before. Now we're in full qualifying speed. He has hit that. He's got the traction on perfectly. Down towards turn 4 now, getting onto the curb, which is an interesting strategy. Again, hitting the apex, maybe a bit too much curve from him. That's going to unsettle the car on the exit, make it a little bit understeery. Here is pretty standard, you know, as long as you know where your turning point is, you can't really lose much time. Making sure not to invalidate on that exit. Lost about 300ths of a second through that middle sector, you see, so not so good there. And I think he may have invalidated there as he looks to come off the right and come into the pits.
Definitely
Remember
invalidated
what I
there.
said, you can't do back-to-back laps around here, so, you know, if they're going to come into the pits, they've got to do it now.
Yes, exactly. Obviously, 3 minutes left now. Obviously, time's crucial. We're seeing Max Chapman here. Purple sector 1, purple sector 2.
Here we go, Ian. Here's the 102, Ian. Here it is.
Oh, he's taking it very wide, though.
Very
that's
wide.
not going to be valid.
Invalidated.
Yes.
No.
Oh, that was valid.
What? How is that valid?
I don't know, but
I don't know about that.
Oh.
I think Max is scamming a living as he spins in the first sector. This is interesting tactics from Max, giving others yellow flags so he can stay in P1.
no.
Interesting.
I don't know if that was on purpose. I'm not too sure. It doesn't seem like that.
I wouldn't give accusations like that. Ian,
No.
don't you worry.
No.
But a 103.7
he
from
does
Max.
put
That's
him
not
in
a
pole, though.
representative.
But
Yeah, he does.
look
He
how
does put it
close
on very
by.
well.
Look at the top 3.
Yeah, I mean, even further than that. Look at the top 5, separated by 4 tenths of a second. Joel hasn't even set his hot lap yet, so we go on board with Joel.
Of course.
And we'll give you an audio lap. Yeah, decent lap there from Joel. That middle sector did put him down a little bit. It's up to P2, 103.7. I think that, you know, Max isn't going to really have an opportunity to charge his battery for a final lap. So, you know, it's such tight. This top 5. Charlie could even go on to pole. A provisional pole time there from Speedy Joe, 103.6.
Yep.
People aren't going as fast as I thought. As fast as I thought they would. So maybe track evolution is not playing as much as a factor at the moment. Charlie would remain in P5.
Yes.
No, he wouldn't. He'd go back up to P5 with that lap time. I'm surprised about Max's lap. He has had the opportunity to go through for a
He's
second
got
lap.
one
I
more
think Max
opportunity
maybe
after as well. potentially.
No, I don't think they would be able to
They
do
wouldn't
2
be able
laps
to
back to back
charge.
because he goes very wide. Whether he invalidated there or not, we did see him go wide there before. He could be
Oh.
provisional pole, and it is provisional pole for Max Chapman, 103.5. Charlie could dethrone him. So could... Oh, no, that's a yellow flag caused by Joel. That's probably going to secure his P3 in this session. But simultaneously, his biggest rival in the championship is going to be blowing him kisses. He's just secured the pole for a position,
Oh, no.
pole position for, you know, a race where track position is such a important thing. As we see here, Casper come around the final corner. It could be enough for P2. It's not enough because of those yellow flags, unfortunately. Alex P could go a little bit quicker, but you know, I'd be anticipating Max to be on pole position yet again.
Yes, Max Chapman there, currently provisional pole as it stands. We've only got Charlie here who could potentially take over from that pole, but he is unfortunately yellow flag sector 1, sector 2. It'll be interesting to hear from Joe as well if we can, just to sort of see what happened there, as Joe obviously just solidifies his P2 there, as yeah, Charlie goes into the pit. So I believe that concludes the standings for the Austrian Grand Prix tomorrow, with an Alpine and a Red Bull on the front row, and a Ferrari and an Alfa. Very, very colourful first 4, I must say. 4 different teams on 4 different positions, but yeah, 103.5
Yeah,
as well.
I'm surprised. The Max didn't go much quicker than I thought he would. Only 1/10 off Joel. That's quite uncharacteristic of the Red Bull driver. Maybe the championship fight is getting to him, unlike what I said. You know, I said that Max has nothing to lose.
Wait, what?
Someone's coming out the pit lane. I don't know how he's managed to do that, but he's going for some practice starts clearly. But no, you know, I said that he might be getting the pressure might be getting to Joel. Obviously, he's the one to lose this championship now, but maybe it's also getting to Max. You know, only a 10th off P2, and you know, 5/10 off P5. So, you know, really, really crunch time in this championship now.
Yes, I'm not too sure what Dylan was playing at there, but massive GG's around to all the drivers.
Is he still driving?
I don't believe so, because it's just the cameras have just taken over in the game.
No.
So
Yeah, okay, right, never mind. I was gonna say the steering inputs did look like a human, but yeah, Max on Max on pole position, but you know, not by the lead we expected.
no, we got 3 British drivers there, P1 through to P3. I love to see it. And yeah, look at those times, 103.5 down to 104.5.
Go Britain.
Yeah, exactly. Patriotic, right?
It's like Eurovision. No, Germany's not at the bottom, so it's not Eurovision. Oh, sorry, Charlie.
You are crossing a very thin line here, Callum.
No, but you know, I'm most surprised in the session is Dylan. You know, didn't manage to hook up the lap. Maybe those yellow flags caused by my teammate caused that. Obviously, no intention by Max on his hot lap in qualifying 2. Similarly, no intention by Joel on his hot lap in qualifying 3. But Dylan down in P9 is quite uncharacteristic. Remember what I did say, though, could be a lot about to do with setups here. So if Dylan's on a race setup and the race setup's insane, then he could even win the race.
Yeah, who knows what's going to happen. I don't know if... Should we maybe speak with one of the drivers?
Yeah, I'll go get some.
If that's okay. That would be fantastic. But yeah, GG's all around to the 10... Oh, to be honest, the 14 drivers that all made it through. Obviously, commiserations to those of you who did DNF or didn't quite make it through to Q3 there. But yeah, well done to all the drivers, as it looks like Callum is going to go and speak with some drivers here. And we'll get them on board up here to see their take on Austria. But yeah, if you are tuning out, guys, have a good one. And we'll be live tomorrow at 7:30 to watch the Austrian Grand Prix. Barcelona Grand Prix is on at 2 p.m. tomorrow as well, so don't miss that out if you don't know all the times of it. But yeah, we should be good. You're going to throw Alex under a bus. He doesn't want to do an interview, but just drag him in. He will love it. It's all down to Callum for dragging people in. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, we got Adam here from the Williams outfit. Really good qualifying for him, so yeah.
Hello, Alex. Alex? Sorry, we're talking... You both begin with A. Gosh. Yeah, Adam, honestly, well done. Like we were saying during that race, obviously, where you've came from pretty much season 1 all the way to whichever season we're in now. It's really obviously good to see the performance. No, Hassan. But yeah, it's really good to see obviously the motivation and sort of, you know, the improvement from you as a driver. I mean, obviously, could you have done better today? Or obviously, I mean, the actual leaderboard was so tightly involved. You know, was that your optimum performance out there, or was sort of the yellow flags impeding somewhere? I mean, you saw you on the grass sometimes, but
Yeah, I was in low fuel mode when I went on the grass and just didn't want to
No worries.
wreck anybody's lap. Yeah, I could have definitely got P5. But yeah, you know.
Yeah. What about Taylor as well? Obviously, I know that you've both been, you do loads of practice off stream and stuff like that. Was Taylor happy? I believe did you out qualify Taylor, if I'm correct in saying
Yes,
you
yeah,
did.
our times were insanely close as always.
Yeah, so we'll have a look at the times. But yeah, there's just so fine margins. Obviously, Austria, it's one of those tracks where you can't, if you make a mistake, your lap's gone really. But I mean, any sort of thoughts going into the race tomorrow? Do you know sort of what strategy you're going to go in for, or is that all to
I think
be?
me and Taylor are just gonna work together because
Yeah.
we're starting on the same row. So I think we said whoever's gonna get a better start, we're just gonna defend into turn 1 and just.
Yeah, turn 1's going to be crucial here at Austria, I think.
And turn 3 and.
Just a quick one, Adam. I think
Yep.
odd numbers start on the left of the grid here today, so I think you'll be starting on the left. So obviously your teammate's going to be on the inside for
Oh
turn
God.
1. Your teammate's going to be on the inside. How are you going to plan to mitigate any sort of risk that someone either rear ends him into you, or are you taking any precautions as a team? Tell me about it.
Honestly, we've not spoke about that, so I have no idea. But
Mm,
we just want to make every turn 1 and turn every corner safely. Well,
absolutely.
Yes. Get
Yeah.
to the finish line.
Once again, for me, most improved driver of this season. You've been going really well this year, Adam, and I'm really proud to say that how far you've come is quite impressive. So yeah, well done.
it's mental. Like, yeah, even Taylor's come a long way.
Yeah,
Like, he
as
would
a
have
team,
got.
all of you.
Yeah, he would have got in front of me there, but he invalidated his final laps. You know, track limits.
Well, thank you, Adam.
Thank you.
We've also got Joe in here from the Alpine team. Obviously, quite a quick first qualifying from Speedy Weedy.
Evening.
Good evening. Hello.
How are you all?
We're doing well, thank you. How are you? How did you find that? I mean, debut race, I suppose, debut qualifying. Just very, very fine margin out qualified there by Max. Starting P2 tomorrow. I think you're on the better side of the track into turn 1.
I think I'm on the inside.
Yeah,
that's where you
I
want to be,
wouldn't,
right?
Ian. I wouldn't say the inside's the better side of the track.
Oh,
Yeah,
is it the other way round?
Not that I'm going
Yeah,
to send up the inside, but you know.
Oh yeah, that does make sense.
Well, silver linings of it is you're going to have the run down towards turn 3. Maybe send one down the inside. You've got the commanding position. I think Max will probably look to defend that inside line, but either way, stick him onto the apex, and a little bit of advice. I think you'll pass into turn 4 if you can. That slipstream all the way down that straight. You did take the corner. What's your sort of plan for that?
Well, I mean, at the start, you sort of aim to just survive turn 1, but obviously ERS management plays quite a bit at Austria because it's quite a quick track. But I just don't want to drain it all on that lap because obviously you have a lap limited ERS, so I don't want to drain it all. But yeah, slipstream is very powerful in this game, isn't it? So could use that to my advantage. But yeah, I think lap 1's objective is just not going to die or make a mistake.
Yeah. Under contract from Alpine this weekend, I heard you're quite a sought after driver. Ferrari wanted you. Obviously they went for their permanent reserve driver Charlie instead. Obviously other teams wanting you as well. What's your sort of future in Kenco F1?
Well, finish the season. I'll finish off the season, but with the new game, hopefully I could start right from the beginning for race 1 of season 3. Would it be? I think it'd be season 3.
Something like that.
Yeah,
we haven't decided yet.
I'll aim for that. But yeah, so far in that qualifying, I'm really enjoying it here. So good job, guys. You made a very good league.
Appreciate it. Thank you. And yeah, good luck tomorrow. Into turn 1.
Oh God, pray for me.
You'll be fine.
It's fine. You're on the It's fine. You're on the inside. You're all right.
Yeah, these drivers around me, all the drivers are good. So got nothing to worry about.
Yeah, you're fitting.
What do you mean? What do you mean around you? All the drivers are good and all down the lane. What do you mean?
That's what I said. I said all the drivers around me are good.
All right, thank you, Joe.
No offense. Right, goodbye.
No offense. There we have it.
Yeah, I think that's gonna conclude it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been great to commentate. So yeah,
it's been a pleasure having you here, Callum. And obviously, I understand you're out tomorrow. But I'm sure I'll be able to find somebody to keep me company.
Well, I might be back for some other race. You know. Who
That's
knows?
all right. Of course, you can pop in and pop out. But yeah, a massive thank you to everyone who's tuned into the stream. We'll be live tomorrow evening again. Enjoy the real life Grand Prix tomorrow at 2 o'clock. And then definitely tune into our Grand Prix at 7:30 because that's the one that matters, right?
Everyone who comes gets a free Phoenix copy. That's